What is going on? Okay, so over the last few hours, I've seen a bunch of different articles and videos online detailing things like early plans of the Switch, or most notably, Nintendo is coming to kill you. Let's break this down, because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about this and a lot of people covering this irresponsibly. What's happened over the last few hours is that a 900 megabyte document from Nintendo was leaked. This document contained a bunch of different things that I originally thought were fake, but looking into it, it seems kinda legit. These things include original plans for the Switch, plans for the 3DS, online stuff, and what's been most notable lately is their legal proceedings trying to find and take down a hacker. Now, before I get into it too much, I want to make my position clear. These leaks are wrong. This is immoral. This has people's private information, where they live, where they work, what they like, and all sorts of things of employees for Nintendo and people involved with Nintendo. And on top of all of that, this is all Nintendo's property. Like, it's really interesting to see. I'm not going to deny that. I'm intrigued by it. And at the same time, this is stealing. It's their stuff and it's not ours to see. With that said though, let's get into the proceedings with this hacker. So within this whole folder is a subfolder called Knock and Talk Direct Contact. And when you click on this, they have something they call Belgian Waffle, which is their initiative to take down a leaker who I think lived in Belgium. That's about all the detail I'm going to go into with that. But you see their different thought processes behind it and why they're going after him and what they've learned about him. And initially, it's all really disconcerting stuff. You see things like where he lives, where he works, what he enjoys, and you also see things like his history online or his education history, just a ton of detail about this guy. It seems like some real creepy stuff. But when you look into it a little bit more, I don't think it's that cut and dry. When I initially saw this, I thought 100% this was fake. This seemed way too bizarre and weird for Nintendo. And that's because when I first heard about it, it was sold to me as Nintendo is tracking people down and learning all about them, when the more correct way to say this would have been Nintendo is tracking down criminals who are hacking their stuff. Not to say that criminals aren't people, but that is a very important distinction to make. What I've gathered from this document is that Nintendo's hired some sort of private investigators to find out who's hacking their stuff, who's taking advantage of their intellectual property, and then sending people to settle with them out of court so they don't have to go through a bunch of legal proceedings. This seems like really standard stuff to me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was happening even if it wasn't in a leak. And maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see why this is a huge deal to a lot of people. Yeah, it's really disconcerting to see all this information on our screens about this person, but that's because it was never meant for public screens. This is confidential. This is information for a company about who is breaking into their stuff, who is hacking their stuff, and it was never meant to be shared with millions of people online. And that's what I'm saying when I say this stuff is wrong, is that we have this guy who admittedly was breaking the law. He was doing something illegal. But now we know not only where he lives, what he likes, we also know all sorts of things like his education history, his handles online, his picture. There are all sorts of things that just were never meant to be made public knowledge. And it's for a good reason. I don't understand this sort of worship of hackers that we have in the Smash community and really the gaming scene in general. Like I said, it's really interesting to see this kind of stuff, but there's no skirting around it. This stuff is illegal. Not what Nintendo's doing. I think that that's perfectly legal. Even if I don't like thinking about it, I think that makes a lot of sense for a company to do, is figure out who's breaking into their stuff and taking advantage of their stuff. I think that the part that's really illegal and disconcerting is the people who decided to hack into Nintendo, take all of this information, see, oh yeah, here's just about everything you need to know about this guy to find him and know exactly what he's done in life. Let's post that. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but it really seems like really normal behavior from a company to me, and not anything that should be particularly concerning to anyone unless you're breaking the law yourself. In which case, yeah, you should have a company come after you and handle that, because that's not right. On top of all of this, we have leaks surrounding blueprints and security for different Nintendo consoles like the Switch or 3DS. Once again, I don't know what to say. People are going crazy over all of this, saying, how dare Nintendo plan this thing internally and not show it to us or not give it to us? It was never ours to see. This was internal planning stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just ranting here. Maybe this is falling on deaf ears. But I don't see Nintendo being in the wrong in nearly any capacity here. And that's not coming from a Nintendo apologist, so to speak. I have a ton of issues with Nintendo for a ton of different reasons. It just so happens in my free Melee video and now this video that I'm trying to speak up for the minority voice here, which somehow is the giant corporation. The story here shouldn't be that Nintendo is sending ninjas after random people to try to get all of their information and punish them. I think that the real story here is that a company's internal proceedings to catch a criminal got leaked by another criminal. I don't know what to tell you guys, man. People want to create this narrative of Nintendo being this big evil corporate monster. And sure, they do a lot of really stupid, crappy stuff. A lot of companies do, but Nintendo especially what their fans do. But throwing this on top of it as an example to show the wrongdoings of Nintendo doesn't line up for me. I mean, I keep saying it, but it's just so bizarre to me that people aren't taking this in. It's the internal proceedings of a company trying to catch someone who is breaking the law against their company by what seems like a private investigator and not by a mass bounty that they send out to the Yakuza to track someone down. And shame on any creator who's putting this out saying stuff like, Nintendo is coming for you, Nintendo is coming for its community, Nintendo is so toxic that they're willing to take people down and stalk them. Because that isn't what's going on here. I'm really bothered by creators I see who are much bigger than myself, have a way wider reach, and are using their platform and their influence over people to fearmonger or to make someone out to be a villain where they're not a villain. And I think there are plenty of places to attack Nintendo. They do a lot of things that are really crappy. But when you invent stuff or make things sound worse than they are, then you delegitimize and minimize all the actual things that they're doing wrong, and it only detracts from the side of the argument that you're trying to make. Our biggest creators in the scene are failing us. They're not coming through for us, and they're trying to, like I said, radicalize and fearmonger and try to make this sound like something it isn't, all while taking advantage of and making money off of a criminal who did something illegal and put it in front of everyone, doxed 100 different people, and released a ton of a company's private intellectual property that they don't have any rights to. I mean, maybe I'm just lawful good or something. I don't know. But this is messed up. And the people who are profiting off of this, especially those that tie Etika's name and face and video clips into this in a way to get clout or get a bigger following or get clicks, that's wrong. And this whole situation is wrong. And anyway, those are my thoughts on it. This is about the only capacity you're gonna hear me talk about leaks on my channel. Like I said, I don't think they're right. Let me know if you agree with me. This is my first time doing a face cam like this. Hope you like my new setup. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I know that this is probably gonna be a pretty divided comment section. So I'm really curious to seeing if any of you guys can change my mind. Make sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more like this, and until next time, stay smashing.